Hello, my name is Sorbo. I've been a professional window cleaner for the past 23 years. During that time I developed the Sorbo line. In this video I'm going to demonstrate the most efficient window cleaning equipment on the market, and I'm going to show some new techniques which I call the upside down L method. And before we start I'm going to go over the equipment needed for this job, and I hope you enjoyed the video. One of the most important things is probably your bag. When I developed this bucket stand, this will actually eliminate around 400 to 500 stools a day. Next thing we need is a vacuum cleaner. We're going to do all the tracks because we're going to do some high quality window cleaning here. Need my new quick draw holster, which is the quickest holster on the market today. And as you can see, it's a dual holster. You can put two squeegees in it, and this is what I call a quick draw holster. You also need an 8-foot extension pole. Need a 5-inch detailing squeegee, your scraper, your drop cloths, a couple of brushes for the tracks, and a very important thing, the chemicals. It's very important to choose the right chemical, because if you want to do high quality work you want the windows to stay clean as long as possible. And this product here is a powder. It takes only a tablespoon to 2 gallons of water, and I already applied that, so I don't want to do it again. I also developed a new product called the Squeegee Glide, and this product here is a lubricant. It will actually slow down the drying process, and also prevent scratching windows when you scrape with a razor blade. And down here is 120 degrees in the shade in summertime. It's very important that the window doesn't dry. It takes only 2 drops to 2 gallons of water of this. Also going to use our covers for our shoes. And before we go any further, I like to demonstrate the squeegee channel. This is the highest tech squeegee channel on the market today. It's the first adjustable squeegee on the market, and it's also cut in a 45-degree angle in each corner, so every time you fan the window you never ever scratch the frame. It's always squeegee rubber there instead of metal. The squeegee channel is developed with 4 different adjustments, and by moving the squeegee rubber from step number 1 to step number 2 you reduce the pressure needed to remove the wood off the window. You can also resharpen the squeegee rubbers 3 times in each of those 4 adjustments, and that's why the squeegee is called 3 times 4. You can sharpen the squeegee rubber 12 times, and by doing that save 93% in squeegee rubber cost. We have sizes from 5-inch up to 50-inch. And this is a squeegee that really can remove water, and I'm going to demonstrate that in this video. And this is, as a matter of fact, the 50-inch squeegee, which we're not going to use in this video, but I also have the video I made before this one. It's called the Z method, and be sure you look into that. It might give you some tips also. So let's go in and do the windows. So the first thing you do is vacuum clean all the tracks, and I'm just going to put the squeegees on the bucket stand right here inside the front door. And of course, first thing we do is cover our shoes, and this will actually make a very good impression on your clients. See, it's not those big things that separate a good window cleaner from a high quality window cleaner. It's those small details most people don't even think about. So I'm going to start right here, and if you watch my first video tape, the Z method, you can also see there that we have a system that we call the folded wall system. So we start here, and then we walk and we work ourselves around the whole resident, and then when we end up with the front door we know we're done. always have a long extension cord, so I can do more in one window from one outlet. That will save you a lot of time. We try to be as efficient as possible. And since we got a window right around the corner here, I'm going to put this right here. And now I have very narrow windows here, so window tracks, so I'm going to use the paintbrush for this. There's one thing I have to mention here. This window has an alarm screen, and they have the connectors in here, so I cannot move this sliding window here, so I'm going to have to leave that. Well, now we're done with the vacuum cleaning, so now we fill up the water and we're going to go ahead and start to do the outside. As you can see, the bucket comes up very easy with those stainless steel clips here. Now, I always just fill up half the bucket. And when you do that counts every month, you really don't need any more water, especially when you do interior windows. It's just a waste of time because it takes so much time to squeeze all the water out of the washer. So I'm going to show you later how to wet the washer in a way where you can do it real quick. And now let's go out and do the outside first, and then we go out in and do the inside. So as you can see, I placed the vacuum cleaner outside the door when I was done with the vacuum cleaning, and the reason I do that, just in case we forgot a window someplace in the closet or something like that. So we don't have to walk all the way up to the van again. I brush both sides, and of course if the customer wasn't washed, this brush is very good for washing too. 8-foot extension cord comes in really handy when it comes to removing spider webs. So what we want to do here, we want to move it a little bit around the windows so it looks nice and clean. So, now, because of the Sorbo adjustable squeegee, I would actually use the 24-inch here and go over the frames and the whole thing. And I also like to demonstrate before we go any further how to wet the washer in a bucket. And this is actually how you wet the washer. You use your sponge. The sponge is a very important part of this, and it has to be a real soft sponge and it has to absorb water quick. And then you squeeze the excess water out of it. And this makes this the drip-free system on the market. You have control over the washer all the time. Now you can wash 4 windows with this. Second time or the third window you do, dip only 2 inches down in the bucket, turn it over a bucket, and there we go, we have a drip-free system. Now, I like to demonstrate how to clean the French windows with the Sorbo system. Since the squeegee is adjustable, it's very easy to do this in a very short time. Well, most people would probably use a 10-inch or 12-inch squeegee to do this, but I use a 26-inch. I moved the squeegee rubber out in the second setting already, and I like to show you how to move the squeegee rubber in and out. Actually, pull the squeegee rubber and the end clips come out by itself. And then what you do, you insert the squeegee rubber in the second setting, which is 1 step out, and that way you will actually adapt better to the framework and the glass. So it's less detailing to do. When you put it back in, if you don't know who licked on it before, you can lick on it. Most likely it's me. Or you can slide it against the washer sleeve, so it's a little bit moist because the end clip goes in on only one side. And then you wet the squeegee rubber a little bit. And then what I do, I go over the frame and the whole thing. Now you have a little bit of water on the frame. Well, I go over it one more time. And it's a little bit less. And I do 4 pearls like this. And then of course I do the detailing, which I always have to do anyway, even if I use a small squeegee. But this will cut the time when it comes to removing the water. I did only 4 pearls instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, what you would have done with a smaller squeegee channel. And then you do the detailing, which is high quality work. If you concentrate on high quality work, always detail every single window on residential account. That will be the only way you can beat the competition, and that's called quality. And also change place on your detailing towel all the time. See, I always use this dry spot on my towel, and this towel is only good for, I would say, 35-40 windows, then I use a new one. Even if they look clean, they do not do a good job. So I do 1 window at a time. And if you lead with the top of the squeegee, then you never get a streak like that. Same thing if you have straight windows. Always lead with the top. That way the water will go downwards instead of upwards. So, almost done here. Now, if this would have been a window with a wooden frame in between, you couldn't go over the whole thing with an adjustable squeegee. But since the rubber flax so good, you can do it on aluminum frames. But in that case, you would have used a little 12-inch squeegee. And actually, I cut it perfect from top to bottom of the panel, and then always move it horizontal. That way you prevent the window from crying, as you can see in my earlier video tape called the Z method. Now we're done with the window, and the last thing we do here, we put the screen on. In some cases the screen comes on only from the inside, but in this case you can put it on from the outside. And be sure it's back right in the track. I just find some silicone glue up here, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to remove that. Since I showed you before, I got a little pouch with steel wool. Well, the XXX steel wool will work fine. You put some of this Sorbo water stain remover on it, dry, don't use any water. And then lay it on the silicone glue and remove it. And you'll be surprised. It comes off right away, and there's nothing there. It's not, you don't even have to wash the window when you use this. So it's a very efficient product. So that's the Sorbo water stain remover. Okay, now we have a large window here, and the first thing we do here, and in the desert here, it's not necessary to wash the screens all the time, because what it does, it leaves water stain on the screen. And when you take the screens off, be careful when you take it up so the wheel doesn't break. Then we turn it over. And we do both sides. But wherever you have clay dirt or something like that, you really have to wash the screens. So, now I'd like to show you a couple of different techniques here. I'll move this aside. We're direct in the sunlight now, so it's pretty hot right here now in the desert. But it's not a good window to do it on, because it's wide open here. When it comes to the washing, this is the most important thing you do when you do windows. The scrubbing itself. If this isn't done right, well, the squeegee will leave streaks. And what I do, I brush and I wash the framework too at the same time. I will clean it out real good like this. So the fastest method of cleaning windows today is, well, I'd like to show you here. The way we have done it for the past 60 years is with the fanning method. It goes like this. And since this squeegee is angled in 45 degrees in each end, it cleans the windows very close to the framework. That is what we call the fanning method. And as you can see here, the squeegee is cut 45-degree angle in each end. This makes this the only squeegee on the market where there is no metal hitting the frame. It's always squeegee rubber hitting the frame. So it's very safe. Well, you have to go over the window around, I would say around 8 times here, if I'm not mistaken. Now I'd like to show you the squeegee I choose here is the 36-inch Sorbo. And you can actually, this is how you wet the washer without dripping water on the floor. Of course, when you do the interior, it's more important. And with the 36-inch squeegee, you can just about do the whole window before it dries. 1, twist a little bit where you stop. 2, 3. And it's done in 3 passes. Then what you do, take the sponge, wipe the bottom, and this is always done to prevent the rag or the towel to get too wet. Then we do the detailing. Like I said before, high quality work. Now, if you're too short to reach, use your squeegee. And this is a great extension tool. Since the squeegee doesn't bend, it's the most rigid squeegee on the market, you can actually reach all the way up. So that was the straight horizontal pass, which is very, very simple. Now I want to show you something I call the upside down L method. And that is done with a 36-inch. When you start up in the top, go over to the right, and then you go over the angle right all the way down to the bottom. You stay down here, you reach up, push for the handle, then you do one more pass. And by doing that, the whole window is done in what I call it the upside down L method. In the last video I made, the Z method, you saw different techniques there with the Z. And this is the medium with the L method and large sliding doors. So you can actually decide yourself what technique you want to use. And the detailing here is very important around the handles and so on. You already vacuum cleaned the tracks already, so the tracks is not too bad. Then what we do, we put the screens on again. They're already clean. Be very careful when you put it back. You don't want to break any wheels or anything like that. Now we have finished the exterior windows and we've done the screens also, and what we're going to do now, we're going to do the interior. And I already placed the drop cloths out here on the floor to make this a little bit quicker. I used beach towels and they've been washed so many times, so they absorb the water very well. And I covered the floor down below the mirrors with that. As you can see, we got a large mirrored fireplace here. It's actually from wall to wall. And I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to do this with a large Sorbo adjustable squeegee. So I already changed water now. We have clean water, and that's very important when you do interior. I always change water as often as you can. I usually do just the outside, and then I do the change water, and then I do the inside. So clean water is very important. And I'm using the 24-inch washer. And we're going to do the top of the mirrors first. And you have to be a little bit careful when you do mirrors like this. You have to move slowly. And it's a chance you can do that when you have glide in your water, because the mirror doesn't dry that fast. So now I went over the joint up there. The next thing I do, I tap it a little bit. Otherwise that joint will start to cry. It's already crying quite a bit up there. So what I do, I tap it like this, move it twice down, and the same thing here. And that will actually get the water out of the joint there. Then I go over the whole thing. And as you can see, the Sorbo squeegee, that's very well done, even surfaces. Tilt it towards the opposite side of the dry surface, so the water drains out of the squeegee, like this. And of course it will drip on the window, on the mirror, I'm sorry. So it's no big deal. Detail everything. And I want to get to that joint first, just in case a little bit moist comes down afterwards. So what do you want to do now? You want to inspect. You can never inspect too much. Always check it out before you leave, because nobody is exactly 100% perfect. So you always have to do a little bit of touch-up. And it's just a matter of who is doing the best inspection. That's where. So now we get into a large bathroom mirror. And here we have a lot of delicate things, so we have to move it up very slowly. So, and the washer is still wet from the windows we just did. And the 36-inch might be good here. So you can go over the framework and the whole thing when you have an adjustable squeegee. Just put the sponge in the bottom and then just walk sideways. It's a nice button extension for you. You don't have to walk all the way up to the windows and the mirrors. You can stand and do it in a little distance like this. And with a 36-inch squeegee here, you can actually do one pull across the whole thing. One. Two. Well, we're all done in the bathroom here, and another thing I want to point out too, when you put the Sorbo swivel washer on here, always leave it horizontal over your bucket. That will be the only way it doesn't drip. Don't put it in your bucket, because it will absorb too much water and then you drip everywhere. So just leave it horizontal like this, carry it like that. We got a big curtain, and of course the best way to get rid of a curtain is to hang it over the chair. If you don't have one close by, maybe you can find one around in the same room, and you can bring it over to the window. That will actually prevent from wetting the curtain. And always remember to put the washer horizontal. Do not tip it like this, because it will drip water in a few seconds. Just keep it horizontal like that, and you can actually do 3 windows without having to wet the washer. We do the upside down L method again. 1 and the 2. Wipe the bottom of the sponge, detail, and raise up. Or maybe in English, stand up. So. And you can see how efficient the swivel handle is. You always get it behind just about anything. No, I don't want to put this against the clean window, so I put it back in my high bucket stand. And I do another one, like I said before, upside down L method, which I highlight in this video. That's how quick it is to do big sliding door. Well, with that we're done, and I hope this video will give you some ideas about the Sorbo products and help you in the future window cleaning. With that, I wish you a very good future, and I hope you watch my next video too, which will be very exciting also, about some new products and some new techniques. With that, see you next time. Bye bye.